Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm looking at Minimal Audio's new plugin, Ripple Phaser. As I was doing my research on this plugin, it reminded me of an OG plugin by Waves called Enigma. So let's take a look at both plugins and see how they stack up against each other and where they differ. Let's check it out. The first thing I noticed is that they both have notches. On the Wave side, again, you can put up to 6 notches and go half notches in between it. So 1.5, 2.5, all the way up to 6.5. On the Ripple Phaser side, your notches are here that you can increase by simply sliding up the knob, and this goes up to 24 notches. If you see the waveform here, the waveform within Waves Enigma is by default set to triangle. You can change it to a sine wave, square, saw down, and saw up. You have a similar thing here with the shape on Ripple Phaser. The first initial shape is a sine. You can then change it to a triangle, ramp, and a square. You see also there's a rate, which you can have it sync to your DAW. On this case, this one has 2 bars, 1 bar, 8th, 16th, all the way up to a 64th. And it goes all the way down to 32 bars. This says that the blend knob does what, or excuse me, bend, not blend. This shifts the phaser's notches closer together on either the low or high end of the spectrum. This control really shines when using the phaser's filter modes. Then there's the center frequency. Set the center frequency of the phaser's notches and filters. The spread adjusts the spacing between the filter's notches in the frequency spectrum. Higher values will increase the distance between the notches, while lower values will decrease it. You have your stereo image. Set the amount of frequency offset between your 2 phaser channels. Okay. In the feedback, adjust the amount of feedback resonance that will be amplified to the phaser. Your mod balance, adjust the amount of internal modulation. To bend, center, and spread. You have input, output, dry, wet. And then your modes here, you have classic, inverted, which inverts the notches, clean with the low pass, high pass, and band pass modes, and then this disperse. On the Wave side, again, you have a gain, a mix, you have these pre-delay, stereo or mono. You have a feedback button here with a bit more controls on the feedback side, whereas you don't have that much on the Ripple Phaser. But that's enough with how these both look. Again, you have a mod depth here and a depth on this side, but let's really check and see what these things sound like.
Load the jump program.
So on all the tracks, I have an instance of Omnisphere. I'm using the Keyscape Patch Rhodes LA Custom Suite. Let's sustain a note, so you can really hear that effect. Now let's check it on Ripple Phaser. Back to Enigma. Now, one thing I do notice on the Enigma side, you can kind of hear more of the phase effect on on the upper mids. It's a bit brighter in comparison to Ripple Phaser. I feel more of the modulation within the lower mids on this. Okay. Let's see. So let's just go through a couple of the patches again, just to hear what both have to offer. And this is Enigma, Raspberry Sparkle, DP Flanger. And again, I'm kind of trying to sustain a chord so you can hear more of that flange effect. Again, this DP Flanger. Attract opposites. What does that sound like? Okay. Dizzy peaks. Dueling notches. Elastic. Let's see this. Okay. Offset. Change the bend. Okay. Red. So this is spreading out the space between the notches. Seemingly the waves under the hood again has a little bit more of like a like more reverb kind of built into it, I would say. Which to me makes it sound like just in general the waves has a bit more wider stereo image. And then sometimes again, depending on the patch, you more easily feel the modulation. So to try to solve that, I went in and added some additional effects to a track on Ripple Phaser to kind of really more emulate the default what you feel on the wave side. So that's what this second instance or second track is here for Ripple Phaser 2. I've added in a Valhalla reverb to the end of the chain as well as OTT. I thought I might have needed to roll off some of the lows, but I have that bypassed right now. So let's just hear what it sounds like. Again, this is the first pass on this is going to be Enigma. And then this is the default. Now Ripple Phaser with that compression and reverb. See how it sounds and how it feels. Complex. Back on the Enigma side. Ripple Phaser is the closest thing that I found to Enigma. And again, it has a lot of features and characteristics that are very similar, again, just in terms of the notches and everything. It is following in the footsteps of the OG Waves Enigma. So that's it. That's really me taking a comparison and contrast look at Minimal Audio's new Ripple Phaser versus Waves Enigma, which again, I've had that plugin for a long time and used it. And again, I would say that Ripple Phaser is probably the closest thing that I've ever seen or found that touches anything that Enigma has been able to do. I really enjoy those. I think they're really cool plugins, and I like them a lot. And I'm glad to see more, manufacturers, plugin companies going in this type of direction with certain plugins like this. So I hope this was helpful. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. Again, this video was not sponsored at all. Neither plugin company sent this to me. I purchased them both myself for my own money. And this is just my honest thoughts on it. Like the video if you found that helpful. And I'll check you guys in the next one. Peace.
Yes. Complex.